Hey guys, so in this video we are solving linear equations. This is kind of the last three sections all rolled together in one spot. Kind of the process for this is there's some steps to it. First step is we're gonna clear parentheses. Second step is we're gonna clear fractions. Sometimes I do that reverse order, depends on the problem. And then we're gonna wanna collect terms, which we saw in the 1.1. And then we use the addition property to abstract off of both sides. We saw that in 1-2, and then finally we multiply or divide to get the x by itself at the end. That was in 1-3. So kind of the same order that we learned the material, that's the same order that we approach the problems. So let's see what these look like. So this one's not too bad. We're just going to distribute that 3 across the parentheses. So that's our first step, clear the parentheses. That's going to go 3x plus 6 equals a negative 8. So then we don't have fractions and there's no terms to collect, so we'll go down to the addition property. So we're going to go minus 6, minus 6. That gets us 3x negative 14 on this side. And then I can just divide the negative, or the 3 over, and that's that multiplication property from 1.3. And x makes negative 14, not a very good 3/3. Cool, so this one fairly similar. So I could do a couple of different things here. I could move the 6 over right now if I wanted. I could also distribute and collect. I'd probably distribute and collect, but either way that would be correct. So if I go 2 across there, I'll get 2x minus 4 plus 6 equals 10. And so then that lets me kind of put all this together on one side. That means I'm only going to move one thing instead of moving two things. And it's in the moving where people usually make the mistakes. So that's why I like to kind of collect first. And so now that I have it as simplified as I can, then addition property. And then last always multiplication property. So this time as a division. And x equals 4. So the next one, we got to resist the urge to go 6 minus 3. Because remember, order of operations says we got to do the multiply first. So we're going to clear parentheses. So just leave the 6 alone. And I'll go minus 3 times 2 for negative 6x. Minus 3 times minus 5 for plus 15 equals 13. And then negative 6x, so no other x's. 6 and 15 will make 21. And that equals 13. And then subtract our 21 over. Negative 6x equals, that'd be negative 8. And then we got a negative 6, we're going to divide by negative because we want the sign to be positive. So those are gone. And then negative over negative, so that makes a positive. And 8 over 6, we can reduce out to 2, so that's going to leave us 4/3. This one, just a bunch of parentheses going on, so let's get all those cleared out and see where that gets us. So I'll do the negative 4 through and get negative 8x, negative 4 times 3 for negative 12. This, just think of it as changing the signs inside. It's like a negative 1, so it's just going to multiply and flip the signs, but maybe not as a distribute. Just think, okay, I had plus x minus 1, so now I got minus x plus 1. And don't overthink it too much. 6 here. Same thing here. I'll just say, okay, so now I have negative 2x and positive 7. So I got kind of a bunch of stuff all over the place, so I'm going to take a second and then do the 1.1 simplify. So we'll go x's together and get negative 9x. And then we're going to get negative 12 plus 1, so that's negative 11. Negative 2x, and then 6 and 7 for 13. Okay, so now we got everything as consolidated as we can. So I'm going to get my x on one side, numbers to the other. Doesn't really matter which way I send the x, so I'll just solve to the left. And you go plus 2x, plus 2x. And again, if you're comfortable, you can do the 11 at the same time. And I'll show this as a second step. And then we're down to multiplication properties. We'll divide out that negative 7. And then those cancel. So we get x equals, it kind of looks funny with the negative downstairs, so I'm just going to write it in the numerator, but those mean the exact same thing. Okay, so in a lecture section, I'd have you guys try these next four. So we're going to do a little distribute. So 10x minus 12 minus 1 equals 17. Collect these. X minus 13 equals 17. And I'll do these a little quicker since I just talked through the last four. I'll add my 13 over. I get 10x on this side, those are gone. That equals 30. And then I can divide my 10. And x equals 3. For this next one, so we got that negative out there again. And 5x. So this is just going to flip these signs. So I had minus 2x minus 6. Now I have plus 2x plus 6. And that equals 4. A couple of like terms there to collect. So 7x plus 6 equals 4. Minus a 6 on both sides. It's going to make a negative 2. And then just divide over the 7. And those cancel, and x equals negative 2/7. So this one we got a couple of little distributes. So we'll go 4x plus 20 and 2x minus 12. And I'll bring my x's to one side, numbers to the other. So 2x plus 20 equals negative 12. And I could have brought the 4x over, wouldn't matter with the way I got the positive x. So now I'm trying to get x by itself, so we want to get that 20 out of there. We got 2x, that's gone, makes negative 32. And then I can divide the 2 over. And x equals negative 16. And so then here's that one again with the mess of signs. So we'll just think of these negatives again as flipping whatever's in here. So now I got negative 3x and positive 4. I'll have negative 4 and then positive x equals 7. And this will be positive 3x and negative 5. So to me that's a nice way to think about it. Let's see, so we can collect some terms. I got 3x, or negative 3x there, x there. So it'll be negative 2x. Plus 4 minus 4, those just kill each other off. And let's see, over here we got 3x and 7 minus 5 for, positive 2. And then I just need to get my x's on one side, numbers on the other, so I guess I'll move the 3x. So down 2 and down 3 more makes minus 5. Equals 2, and then just divide the 5 over. And x equals negative 2/5. Okay, so the fractions are back. If you look at kind of the steps, it says do the parentheses and then do the fractions. So this is a case where I'd actually do the fractions first. I think it'll be a little bit easier. I'm going to rewrite this down here so I can not interfere with that 9. So I want to clear the fractions, kind of like what we did back in the last section with this one. So I'm going to look for the LCD, which is going to be 6, because I got 6s and 3s. But so rather than distribute this and make kind of a bunch of messy looking fractions, if I just do it right now, it's like way easier. Because then what happens is 6 times 1, 6, those just cancel. So that just becomes like 1 times that. So that's just x minus 4 now. And then here, 3 and 6, so 3 goes into 6 twice. So this side is 2x plus 8. So I think that's a lot easier than running them through first and then clearing it. And you just kind of get the same thing except without the parentheses. So now I'll clear the parentheses. So 2x plus 16. And then I want x's on one side, numbers to the other. I think it will solve so I get a negative x, just to remind you what to do about those. So x minus 2x, so there's that negative x, minus 4 equals 16. And I'm going to add the 4 over. So if negative x equals 20, then that would mean positive x equals negative 20. So it's just like you're multiplying both sides by negative 1, and that gets that negative off the x. So this one's very similar to what we saw at the end of the last section. I think we'll rewrite it. And so I'm just going to use the LCD, and I'm going to multiply and clear all these fractions here. So 3, 12, and 4 all go into 12. So I'm going to think of it as 12 over 1, 12 over 1. And then in the 1.3 video I showed, with the step where I show all the numerators, this time I think I'm going to try to get to where we're kind of doing the shortcut on it, but you can go back and see in 1.3 with the steps. So 3 goes into 12, that would be a 4 with that negative. Here, if I thought of the 12 multiplying the 5, the 12s just cancel, so I just have the 5x left. And here, 4 goes into 12 3 times. So this really is a nice technique for taking something that was kind of nasty to work with and making it a lot easier. So then I just got to bring the 4 over. So we'll add that since it's a negative. And I can just divide the 5 and I got it. And so x equals 7/5. Okay, so in the lecture, these next 3 would be the ones that have you guys try. And this first one I'm actually kind of messing with you a little bit, because it looks a lot like the one where I want to multiply both sides by 4, which I could totally do. There is sort of an exception to that, so I wanted to throw one of those in just to show it to you. So if you notice that 4 goes into 8 and 4, so there's no harm in just distributing, because I'm not even going to have fractions once I multiply. But the ones on the last page, had I multiplied the fraction through, it would have made it messier. This one actually gets nicer, so it's worth looking for. So 1/4 of 8, that would leave me 2x. 4 goes into 8 twice. Here 4 goes into 4 once, or 1/4 of 4 is 1, equals 11. And so then it wasn't really that bad a problem. So I can just add my 1 over. And then divide out the 2. And we get x equals 6. And then this one, so I'll probably sneak that in there. 2, 8, and 4. So we're going to do 8 over 1 on both sides. And again, I'll just do the canceling as I go here. So 8 over 2 would make a 4. 8 over 8, those cancel, and I just have that 5 left. And 8 over 4 makes a 2. And so I will subtract this over. Oops. So that leaves me negative 5x equals negative 2. And then just divide the negative 5. And then be careful to make sure you simplify right here. So minus and minus, that makes positive 2/5. And sometimes this form looks funny to people, but I think it's really, it means the same thing as that, right? So that's totally 2 negatives being divided, so we want to make it positive. Okay, and this last one, this one's going to be easier if we clear the fractions first. So 5 and 2, LCD would be 10. So I'm just going to go 10 over 1 right there, 10 over 1 right there. And you can see if I did distribute, I have 3/5, 2/5, 1/2 x, it just get messier. So if I just do the 10, then I go 5 into 10 makes 2, and 3x plus 2. 2 into 10 equals 5, x plus 5. And that's a lot nicer. So now I can just distribute the 2 and the 5 through, and then x is to one side, numbers to the other. So 6x plus 4 and 5x plus 25. And I'll go ahead and bring the 5x over here. And I think on this one I'm going to go ahead and show, I always do this in 2 steps in the videos just to try to break down the steps for you guys. But right here, you could also just go -4, -4. Because right, I'm bringing my x's this way, so that means I'm bringing my numbers that way. And so you can do that all in 1 step if it's comfortable, and if it's not, just do 2 steps. That's all good too. So 6 minus 5 would make an x, plus 4 minus 4 is gone. 5x minus 5x is gone. 24 minus 4 leaves me 21. So there it is, just a little more compact for those of you who are feeling fairly comfortable with this. Cool, that concludes solving linear equations.